Okay, so next question, we go through the compliance. What are you doing to develop your team?
So how many of you have a training program right now for your employees? Great. That is awesome. That means you truly care about your employees. And those of you who do not, you may want to really sit down and consider coming up with a training program. And a training program does not have to be anything complicated. It doesn't have to be, this 12-week training program for your employees. They do have a lot of online tools for that. So if you do want to find a good program where you can actually designate training online for your employees and designate the date that they have to complete it by, you can do that online as well. But just little things, like what I do for my employees is, I actually make it mandatory as part of their performance review that they go through a training once a quarter. Okay, that could be a webinar, it could be a seminar, it could be a class that some of our managers do monthly. So it could really be any just learning for your employees. Because the moment you actually add learning to your employees and spend money on it, that's okay, because they're going to appreciate it much better. The employees will feel like, wow, they want me to take time out of my day to continue my growth, to continue my learning, so that I can actually do a better job here. That would be the whole point, right? To make sure that the employees do a better job for you, and to make sure that they constantly learn, and that you are giving them the tools to become the best employees they can be. And one of the things that we do is we identify the need for development, right? So you have to identify where is it needed. Maybe they can go and do some fun things, but you also want to make sure that you figure out where there might be, especially during performance reviews. This is what we learn a lot. If the employees keep making repetitive mistakes, then you want to identify exactly what kind of learning you want to do with them. But one-on-one trainings work really well as well. So you want to do one-on-one trainings with the employees. You want maybe managers to be designated to train them on the different tasks. So now we're talking everyday tasks, right? But also just developing them, making them grow within their position. And then, investing in your employees will be an investment in your company. That is huge, because you may think, trainings take so long, and are they really learning? But one of the things you want to do is you want to involve your employees. I know that's been kind of the theme today, is to get you to involve your employees. Ask them, what do you want to learn? Because I work with a lot of clients, and they have said, a lot of the employees have said, that training that I'm going to every week, I have no idea why I'm going. It's not even related to what I do for my employers. So you want to make sure that you ask the employees, what is it that you want to be learning? What is it that's exciting for you? What would make you better at doing your job? And they'll give you ideas. The employees will give you feedback if you just, ask them and talk to them about that. The other thing that is great is earlier we talked about personality assessments. And a lot of employers actually do those for existing employees. I am not pressing anything, I promise. I'm not pressing anything. Okay. So you want to make sure that you possibly do personality assessments on your current employees, right? Because that's going to give you a lot of good information about them. What is the best way that they learn? What is the best way to communicate with them? So you can actually learn a lot by doing personality assessments on current employees. Yes?
Is there any that you particularly recommend?
I'm sorry?
Are there any personality assessments that you particularly recommend?
I do have some in mind, so we can definitely talk afterwards, okay? Great question, but yeah, doing them on current employees is a great way to get to know your employees. Oh, here, I'm getting upgraded. So great tools for you to use to figure out a learning program for your existing employees. Okay, so now
It's the computer back there.
oh, sorry. So now how do you keep your employees engaged? So what are the things you're doing to keep them motivated, to keep them going every day? Communication, right? You know, how often are you talking to your employees? You know, are you doing goal setting with them during their performance review? Are you doing performance reviews? You know, those are some important questions for you to do an evaluation on your practice and figure out, you know, areas of improvement with your communication. You know, are you doing, you know, do you have an open door policy where the employees are comfortable coming and talking to you about anything that's going on with them? Okay? Are you having weekly department meetings to tell your employees where you're at with different projects, what's going on in the company? You know, are you doing exit interviews? You know, the exit interviews will give you a lot of information about why your employees are leaving. We actually do those for our clients, and we learn a lot. We learn as to why people are leaving. You know, sometimes we do learn that they are going because of getting paid $1 more. Sometimes we learn that it's the manager that they can't get along with. Sometimes it's the environment, you know, that they don't agree with. So you can actually learn, and that could be a starting point. You know, but you don't have to wait for them to leave to find out what may not be necessarily working. You know, you can talk to them now. You can start conversations with them about that now. You know, get to know your employees. Get to know what they like, who they are. You know, that is so important. You know, we all just want to belong. You know, we all want to know the why, right? We all want to know what the next steps are. We all want to know what's happening. So communication is so important to keep your employees engaged because they will feel like they're part of it. They are, you know, a family along with you. So, so communication, you know, doing goal setting. How many of you do goal setting during your performance reviews? See, that's great, you know, and then check with them. Don't wait until, you know, 12 months to figure out whether they met their goals or not. You know, have a monthly meeting. Hey, where are you at with your goals? I actually had an employee who, you know, we had to move her goals to the next year because she didn't meet them. And when I spoke with her the second year, I actually said, you know what, I need to come up with a plan and tell me how you're going to reach your goals in the next 12 months. So tell me what you're going to do month to month to get to your goals. Okay? And that worked. That get her going and really taking her goals serious about, you know, reaching them and getting there. You know, you may want to tie in a bonus structure to those goals. You know, say, you know what, if you reach your goal, you know, I'm about to implement that with discrepancies. You know, we're going to be tracking how many discrepancies or errors the employees made, and we're going to tie them to a goal because that's going to motivate them to really, really do better and to double check their work and to, you know, do a good job the first time so that we don't have to fix the mistakes. Okay? So listening to your employees. Truly, truly listening to your employees is important. And here's why. When we did the exit interviews, 75% of the employees said that they would have stayed if their manager, if their employer had listened to them. Okay? These are employees who are feeling ignored. That they're just there to collect a paycheck, that nobody really cares about them. So you as a practice manager can make a huge difference with this. Okay, so what are you doing to retain them? What are some of the things that you're doing to reward your employees? You know, do you have a reward program for them? You know, yes, pay is up there. Pay is super important. Don't get me wrong. You know, people say that. People say that pay, you know, it's not important and that's not the most important thing. It's not the only thing, but it's certainly it. You know, it's important. Who wouldn't want to get paid the top market salary, right? We all do. We want to be compensated for our hard work. So pay is important. So you should definitely do a pay scale analysis benchmark to figure out in your market, are you paying at market or above? Because you will retain your employees if you are paying above market. So you should definitely do an evaluation. There are a lot of online tools that you can use. Plug in a job description, what experience the employee has, and it'll tell you what you should be paying them. Okay, so that is important to do. But there are other things. You know, are you doing PTO? Sick time is required in some states. So in some states here in Arizona, it was implemented last year. We don't have a choice. We have to be accruing sick time. But in addition to that, I'm always recommending to our clients to add a PTO policy, to add a holiday policy, even though it's not required by law. You know, that's important for you to have a good reward system for your employees. Bereavement, a lot of companies do a 3-day bereavement for immediate family members. That would be so important. The employee feels appreciated that they can take the time away, you know, to breathe and take care of that. So that would be an important one. If you currently don't have it, think about adding a bereavement policy to your employee handbook. And then work-life balance. You know, I had an employee who was constantly late to work. And she was a great employee. When she was there, she was great. But she was late, and that became a problem. So I gave her quite a few warnings. And after a while, I sat down with her and I said, you know what? How can I get you to work on time? Is there anything I can do to help you? And she actually said, you know what, Noemi? I don't need an hour of lunch. If I could just come in at 8:30 instead of 8 o'clock, then that would allow me to take my children to school. And I was able to accommodate her schedule. She now gets to work on time. She now feels appreciated that I was flexible with that. You know, you may not be able to do it for every employee, and I am not asking that you accommodate every single employee because you have a practice to run. But if you can make little changes that make your employees happy, they're going to perform better. They're going to be thankful. They're going to be happy to work for you. Okay? And some of the other rewards that you have is flexible schedules, you know, recognition. You know, I don't know if any of you have a recognition or employee appreciation event, but you may want to think of one. Who doesn't want to be recognized? Who doesn't want to feel like appreciated for their hard work, especially when you notice that somebody's going the extra mile? You know, why not send an email letting everybody know that, hey, this person did great today. We got a great review from this patient. We got, you know, this, you know, recognize them. People like that. People, you know, and again, that's not monetary. So you're not spending any money when you're recognizing or, appreciating your employees. Tuition reimbursement is another one. Professional development. You know, get to know your employees. Ask them, what are your career goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, what can we help you to get you there? You know, employees will definitely appreciate that you're interested in their life, not just in their work.
And one of the things when we're talking about your investment toward the human capital on the benefits, so we have that defined contribution or percentage, you know, make sure that that's transparent. You know, obviously on their check, they're seeing that, hey, $200 a paycheck is going towards my medical. There's a match, so we want them to see that. But the other thing we're seeing is more popular. How many of you have on-site wellness programs? Okay.
Awesome.
And this is usually, you know what, I usually see our clients annually for open enrollment meetings to educate them on the benefits, but this is another one, we try to do 2 touches each year, and the other one, we partner with local wellness programs to do the on-site, and we see that this is nice because it's usually a break. So we usually schedule it out 15 to 30 minutes, and they'll come on site, they'll do the biometric screening, bone density scans, you know, look at posture. Here, big in the desert is allergy testing. So we want to go through all those things, but that's usually a time to introduce something else. So if we just put in an EAP program, we might have somebody there to talk about it. And again, in speaking with the employees, I actually just had this request this morning, and hopefully some of the other clients, anybody else have pet insurance as a benefit? Yeah, all right. So we got that request, and that was popular. So that was a new benefit that we added towards the year. So when we're doing these on-site programs, we also want to do incentives. So there's always the online ones. If you do this, you know, we're going to give you an iPad. I usually find that that's more valuable too, because I'm speaking on the males. We usually don't even go to our annual preventative checkups. So it's like, how about if the annual checkup came to your break room and you just had to walk over and get all the testing, you know, the blood draws, and we'll throw in a neck massage. Or throw in something to get them engaged, and you can reiterate the benefits throughout the year. Another powerful tool is the total compensation packages. I think you wanted to
Yeah, I mean, he just reminded me that, you know, once a year we actually do take our employees to the spa. They love it. You know, getting a massage, you know, because we're all stressed, you know, we all go through it every day. So even having a masseuse come into your office and just give your employees a 30-minute massage, think about how your employees would feel about that. So the other thing is the total compensation report. This is a great tool to show your employees when you do the performance reviews. Because a lot of people, they only focus on their pay. They focus on, oh, my salary is, 40,000, my salary is 50,000, but they don't realize all the costs that are involved with you hiring them, the taxes, the workers' comp, the benefits. So a total compensation report will truly allow you to show that employee that even though you're only paying them, 40,000, 50,000 a year, it's really, 58,000 because of all the other compensation that goes into hiring them. So, you want to find a tool that will give you that. That's usually tied to your payroll system that can keep track of the taxes you're paying, your workers' comp, your benefits, and things like that.
All right. Before I transition over here, another thing we see, and I've talked about tax day, so it's also a popular season where, especially in our local medical practices, it's profit sharing season. So when I was talking about the Department of Labor, earlier, when we're looking at executive compensation, you typically are looking at the partners, the highly comps as I had defined, and if they really like those big tax deductions, they're meeting with the tax accountants and I've expensed this, I bought this equipment, I did that, and now I have X, and I can pay 40% taxes on that, or I can put that back into the plan. And that's usually a good time to do that wellness program where we're saying, hey, we also appreciate we're sharing in profit sharing. In medical practices, how many of you guys have profit sharing? How many safe harbor? We got a good, okay. And those are really prevalent, and again, if we have that another touch, we want to time it around those things and say, hey, we see a lot of them with pension plans, cash balance plans, and these are employer contributions, obviously regulated by the Department of Labor, but those are good times to reinforce that. Say, hey, the practice did really good. This is, you're going to see something hit your 401k balance, and it's obviously under guidelines based on your ages and salaries, so everybody's going to be different, but it's a good time to reinforce those for the employees. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is very, very specific. And we started implementing these plans about a decade ago. We had a local, smaller medical provider, about 50 to 60 employees, and we had a big bad national that was literally poaching their employees. They were literally actively recruiting their talent direct. So we had some consultation with the owners, we sat around with our CFPs, and what we implemented specifically for those people. When I'm thinking about the key employees, specifically think about this person that's been with the practice 5 or 10 years, and they're really crucial to the practice. And you really need them to stay around for 5 or 10 extra years. What we implement are, and we run these through payroll, are restricted employee benefit arrangements. So it's really two different things. You have a retirement plan, and you have an employee agreement. So you're basically saying to that key person, you've been around for 5 or 10 years, we need you, we want you to stay around for 5 or 10 more. So we're gonna put this little carrot. We're putting Department of Labor aside. We're talking about non-qualified plans, usually funded with deferred compensation, where the practice is gonna put a bonus directly into their retirement account. Whether that's $5,000 or $10,000, whatever the carrot is, but the employee contract, there's a contingency. The practice says, I'm going to put this $5,000 or $10,000 a year directly into your retirement account, but that's based on your years of service here. So if you do get that attraction and someone else, a big bad competitor somewhere along the lines is trying to lure you away, and you walk before that, I as the practice, I'm going to get my investment back. So that's the contract. It's taxed a little bit different when we're looking at 401k plans. Those are pre-tax, grow tax deferred. When you take them out, they're taxable. These plans, there's a taxable ramification that year. If you're running deferred compensation, we're having the practice take on the tax burden. But on a lot of the smaller practices, we'll set up interest-bearing accounts to help with the tax burden on the employee. But we've seen that these are very popular. I've seen them in industries we write a lot with nurse practitioners, rock star bill collectors. We know that practices are doing an awesome job, but how are we collecting and getting that money? So on these key employees, we put these type of plans in, and they can still run them through payroll. They can still dollar cost average, but this is one where we put the Department of Labor aside. You can specifically pick out people. Okay, so that we covered a lot. So what is your, at the beginning when we raised our hands, a lot of people have lost a key employee recently. So, what is your competition doing to lure them away? What should you be doing? So, just to recap, these are 6 strategies that we recommend to implement in your practice, so that obviously we can retain these key people. We talked about recruiting, hiring processes, developing employees, identifying those key employees, rewarding them. We covered a lot of information, but think, what are you currently doing, or what could you be doing to implement in your practice to retain these key employees? Okay, and we believe if you do these things, you will be a best place to work.
And that should really be your goal. I don't know if you guys know, but this is an actual thing where they give you an award for being a best place to work, and your employees can nominate you. And this should be your goal, is to be a great place to work. You want your employees talking about you to their friends, coworkers, and you just have all these resumes available, so when positions open up, you can hire them. If you become a best place to work, you will not have any issues finding employees. You will not have any issues retaining your current employees. So that should be really your goal and a takeaway for today. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Rebecca Phillips. She's going to do a case study for you and tell you all about her experience.
So hi, my name is Rebecca Phillips, and I'm from Pediatrics 5280. We're located on the south side of Denver, Colorado. We have 2 practice locations, one in Centennial, one in Castle Rock. I would say we're a mid-sized private pediatric office. We have 11 physicians and 3 mid-level providers between the 2 locations. We do have in-house billing, and then we obviously have in-house medical records, our nursing staff, and receptionists that we currently are hiring for. So I just have a question. How many of you personally or as an organization have hired someone that you thought was going to be a perfect fit only to have them not work out? And I hope every hand is up, because if not, then you need to be up here with us. So we have all had that. I do not have the magic ticket. I do not have all the answers to how you get that perfect person. How are you not going to have turnover? But I can just tell you some stories of what we currently are doing to try to help not have all that turnover. So one of the things that we do for our nursing department specifically is we will hire medical assistants or CNAs who we know are going to go on to further their education. They're looking to apply for medical school or PA school or RN school. So you might be asking, why would you do that? We were just told that it costs more to hire an employee than it does to retain it. So why we do it? We have found that these employees are some of the best employees. These employees are actively engaged, they're eager to learn, and they're looking at this for something to add to their resume or their application to med school. These employees are also so thankful for the training. Some of them actually come in, not certified medical assistants, we don't always have certified. They come in with maybe no training, no experience in healthcare, and we will train them from the ground up, starting with medical assisting, helping them get to their career goals of going to med school. These employees are quick to jump in, they're happy to help others, and they're always the ones smiling. They become infectious to our other staff members. This also helps us anticipate turnover. When they come in, we know that we're going to have 1 year, 2 years, maybe 3 years with these employees, but we know that and we can anticipate. So we know when we need to start posting jobs, when we need to start looking for other employees. So that's one way that we are attracting the right people for our company. What are some ways that we retain our employees? We offer the competitive salary and benefits that we've just heard about. We always are looking at the MGMA data, trying to make sure that we are in line. We have had, on our exit interviews, people who have left for 25 cents more an hour from the front desk standpoint. They don't always necessarily know that 25 cents doesn't equal thousands of dollars a year. They just see, I'm getting 25 cents more an hour. So we're always trying to look at, are we offering a competitive pay, and do we have the right benefits for our employees? We have staff appreciation lunches. Once a year, we appreciate our staff. We give out bonuses to the staff based on their performance. And we have lunches for them 3 days in a row, because not everybody works every day. We have small rewards throughout the year. Last year, March, I believe it was 20th, we had a flood in our office. It was a great time. Luckily, it was clean water, so we were back in within 6 weeks. But during that 6 weeks, it was really, really stressful for our staff. We did not lose one employee during that time. We didn't lose the employees because we were constantly trying to find out what can we do, what can we help them with. We were renting out space from the children's orthopedic clinic next door. Couldn't get to our vaccines. Our vaccines were locked away in our contaminated area, which we found out was not contaminated. But we were constantly checking in with them. We were listening to them. What do they need? What could we do to help them? Afterwards, we had a big party, because who doesn't like parties? Gave them a small monetary bonus, and the word got out to other people about what we were doing for our staff. We write handwritten thank you cards to our staff, and we will mail it to their home to tell them that we appreciate them. Very specific things on what they have done. I appreciated when you did fill in the blank. We've recently started implementing spirit days. We've always had an ugly sweater contest around the holidays, dressing up for Halloween and pediatrics. The kids love that. It's great when Bill comes in to give you your immunizations. But we've recently been asked, what about May 4th? May the 4th be with you. I think it's a great idea for kids because now we have Star Wars. Although they don't like Star Wars and Darth Vader's coming in, might get a little scared. So those are things that our employees want, and they like that, and it keeps them engaged and keeps them motivated to come back to work. I also have an open door policy, as do all of our shareholders. Any employee at any time can go to any of us for any problem. Another example of how we keep our employees actively engaged is we have what we call a council committee. This committee is comprised of employees from each and every department. We have nursing, we have billing, we have medical records, front desk, and some of the physicians, as well as myself. Some of you probably work in big organizations where they just tell you, you have to do X, Y, Z. Go do it. How do you implement it? Well, even in a private practice, sometimes those things happen to us. We always will bring it to our council committee because I don't know how it's going to affect every little thing that my front desk staff does, or how it's always going to affect nursing and billing. So we bring it to this committee, get everyone involved, get the buy-in, and we troubleshoot in that committee to figure out how can we go out and implement this. We come up with a plan, we go out and we try it, and if it doesn't work, guess what? We meet next month. So we're going to bring back our problems and we're going to try to fix it again. It's kind of the simple PDSA, constantly trying to fix things, and maybe it's going great and we can move on to the next thing. We also do conduct exit interviews. We've learned a lot from that. Some of my employees, as they're exiting, don't want to tell me anything, but then some, they're thinking, I'm leaving, I'll tell you why. And those are very helpful. So I also recommend that you're doing exit interviews. And then finally, one other thing that we've been doing recently to fill our vacancies. I don't know where everyone's from, and I don't know if you all are experiencing this problem, but in Colorado specifically, I'm having a hard time finding nursing staff. I don't know if they're all being employed at hospitals, if there's not enough nurses coming out, but we hire medical assistants, CNAs, LPNs, RNs, any of them. We've even hired EMTs recently. So we've recently started partnering with some schools. There's lots of different medical assistant schools, LPN schools, and they have rolling entry dates. And so some of the students are coming out in April, some are coming out in May. So we're constantly in communication with our schools. Who do you have that's coming out? Do you have any resumes, someone who's coming out that's going to be great for us? We will hire new grads. And we also do offer referral bonuses. We've gotten some of our best employees from our current employees. We offer a referral bonus, a small amount if the employee stays for 90 days, and then again another small amount if they stay for 6 months.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. That was great. I mean, that really, show you that this works. If you really take the time to work on this, and I know it's work, and you already have 20 other things that you're thinking that you have to do this next week, right? But just, really take the time to look at all of this and figure out what are some of the areas that are within my control that I can really make improvement. Even if you work for a large hospital or a large company that you may not be in control of what really happened, you can start with your department, or you can bring ideas to them. I'm sure you're collecting a lot of information from this conference, but you can bring it to them and say, hey, here are some really good tools for you to consider. I really think that this would be great for us. But you personally can make a huge difference, even if it's in your little circle, your own department, even if you have 2 or 3 or 4 people that report to you, you can start making a difference by implementing some of the things we talked about today. Because you can make a difference, even if people above you are not, focus on you. Don't focus on what everybody else is doing or not doing. You want your employees to be the best employees, so you be the best manager that you can possibly be.
One of the stories I really like is at the end of flood party, I have to share, we have a local practice and we do the enrollments around Halloween. Obviously, we're hitting it hard in October, November, and those. We have this one practice, we'll call him Dr. R. And he's not the easiest individual when we're going over the benefits and everything, but it was Halloween, happened to be on a weekday, and I walked in to do the enrollment meeting. None of the staff, it's very hardcore, was dressed, and we walk in, and Dr. R walks out, and he was Papa Smurf. That was like, that is like the coolest thing. And I looked at him in a different light. So those type of things, he's like, hey, after we do the meeting, closing the practice down, and we're having just a Halloween lunch. So just kind of those type of things are huge. I mean, the reactions from the employees when we're doing the enrollment meetings, everybody was in a good spirit. So, those type of items are huge.
Yeah, you can definitely have fun while still working, right? I mean, we all want to have fun. We probably see our coworkers more than we see our family. So why not have fun while doing it? So think of little small changes that you can start making and implement those, and you will notice a difference, believe me. It may not be instant, but you will notice a difference in the way, your employees start behaving. They will be more appreciative. They will be more open to do extra work or stay a little bit later. The more you show appreciation to them, they will show that back to you. Oh. Yes, this is all you.
So we're going to open it up for questions here in a little while, but if you are needing the AAPC credits or the CPE credits, these are your codes. There's also, I was told, stickers or forms in the back for you to pick up if you need those as well.
Yes, so now we will open it up for questions that you guys might have on the different topics or anything else that you want us, any topic that you'd like us to elaborate, we certainly can.
Right here.
Oh, shoot, the microphone.
The working interview, we have contemplated doing that previously, but how do you overcome when you have a new hire that's still working and so they're not necessarily able to come and do 4 or 8 hours with you?
Yeah, so that you may have to figure out how to maybe stay a little bit later and have them come in after 4 or 5, or even on a Saturday if they don't work weekends. Some of the practices that we work with, the manager will say, you know what, I'll come Saturdays just so we can do maybe 2 or 3 hours. Maybe you don't necessarily have to do a full 4 hour or even 8, but just sometime. You just want to get to, the only thing you're doing is checking to see how quickly they learn or to see if they ask good questions. So you want to show them a couple of things that they would be doing and then kind of go from there. So, you would have to be flexible at that time or ask them, is there any way you can take, 4 hours of PTO on Friday afternoon for you to come in? And they might make it work for you. Great question. Yeah, so bring the microphone over.
And then we got Zoom over there next.
Can you share some really good interview questions to try to get below the surface? Because I think we all want people who are competent, who can work in a team, and who can problem solve and all those kinds of things. So if you ask a potential hire, are you a team player? Nobody's going to say no.
Right.
So how do you get kind of below the surface to really get to the nitty gritty that you know they're going to be a good employee?
Great question. So what you want to do is you want to start the question by saying, can you give me an example of a time when you were a team player? Can you give me an example of when you did this? How did you overcome that? So you want to ask the question the right way to get them to really think about an example for you. So that gets them going. And a lot of times when you say, can you give me an example, you can see them turning red because they're nervous and they're like, oh my goodness, he wants an example of it. So just, asking the question, can you give me an example of this, will definitely give you more information. Okay, we have someone over here.
She's getting her steps.
And then we got one here.
The employee benefits, a couple of them that you talked about, do you have any guidance on staying on the right side of the IRS de minimis rules? Because we often run into, things that employees say that they would like, gift cards, other benefits, even the spa day. But then our accountants turn around and go, nope, nope, can't do that, that's gonna be against, you're gonna have to tax it, which I don't wanna have to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, we haven't come across that, our accountant hasn't said that to us about our spa day, because it is, 100% paid, employer paid, but you just have to be careful. I think the amount that the accountant says, $600. If it is, below $600, you can gift it, or the IRS is definitely more specific, but your accountant knows best. I always tell my clients, talk to your CPA, talk to your accountant about how to tax it properly. But we haven't run into that problem, and we have a question here? Yeah, don't bring it microphone. Yes, I do have a couple that I can definitely share with you after this presentation, or if you want to come see us at our booth, we can help you. I have a couple, so predictive index is one of them, but I have a couple others that I want to explain more one-on-one, so I can definitely talk to you after this. I don't want to. They told me not to promote anything, so I don't want to get in trouble. So. Yeah.
I wanted to respond to this gentleman's question right here, because with the giving a bonus and the accountant, our accountant advised us that if you want to, for example, give the employee $200 to make it tax deductible, it has to go through payroll, and they just give us the amount to round up to. So maybe we give them